Go.
Okay, it's November 19th, 2015, and we're getting ready to change out a fuel pump in a 1996 GMC Safari 8-passenger van. The reason we're doing this is because I've been on YouTube and I saw how people are pulling the pumps out of the floor instead of dropping the tank. It is way easier, but every vehicle you're going to do is a little bit different. Brought to you by Kendrick's Auto Parts. If you're in Pembroke, Georgia area, great people to do business with. And so with that, what I'm trying to do is not really show you how to pull the pump. You can go on YouTube and look at a whole lot of people that'll show you how to do that. But in this particular style van, where you got passengers and seats, the seats have been removed, of course. If you know where the pump is, it's going to make it a lot easier to get at and less cutting and a much smaller hole, so you don't have as big a repair job to do. And you can go underneath the bin, but you cannot actually pinpoint exactly where that pump is until so you got to get up top and start cutting, kind of guessing where it's at. First thing I want to show you is this right here. You'll understand as we get further into the video. I got a tape measure and I got it right to the lip of the back of the van where the door is open, and that's where I got it this hooked. And come on around and we'll get going with this thing. First thing I'd like to start off saying is this: if you're going to make your own YouTube video, make sure all the stuff you've stolen from work or from your neighbors and friends is no longer in your van when you start the process of the film. Second thing I want to tell you and say is, every day, thank Jesus you're alive. If you're wondering why am I saying stealing stuff and thanking Jesus you're alive and I sound like a nut, well, I'm not a nut. And all I can tell you is I recommend you get the Bible, go to the book of Romans, chapter 7, and read verses 13 through 25. I think that little part in the Bible explains life in a nutshell and makes everything make sense in this world, and it's something to try to live by. Okay, now when you get ready to start doing this job, of course you're going to need a fuel pump. I got one of these down at Kendrick's, and this is a Delphi. It's probably one of the best ones out there. Not cheap, was $300 and some change. And this is for a 97 GMC Safari. This is 96 GMC Safari, but it needed the 97 pump. So before you go buying one, make sure you got the right one. They got late models and mid-term models and early models, and 95, 96, 97 pumps all three are different. And so you can save yourself some time if you know which pump you need. Next thing you're going to want to do is have your tools gathered. Safety glasses, which I never wear, but they make you feel safe when they're sitting next to you. Dollar store glasses, $1. I can see what I'm doing. This is what I first started. Well, actually, the first thing I started with, I got my knife and I cut out the carpet where I figured the fuel pump was. And I took the carpet out. Then I made an initial punch in the floor with this. Then I started working with a reciprocal saw, which really was doing a good job, but the blade didn't last long and I had to quit. And so I went back to hacking the floor out. And this went through pretty quick too. And let's come on in here and see what was happening. So the floor, like I said, took the carpet off. Now I started hacking at the metal. I started up here and I started coming down. As I got down here, I started running into, problems. Didn't want to cut through. So then I started doing different things. And I finally, like I said, the reciprocal saw is broken, and I'm using this and the hammer, and I'm hacking away. Well, eventually I got these plates off. And when I got the first one off, this is where I was at. And I realized, oh crap, the pump's here. I didn't, I got all this up cut out here that wasn't necessary. I could have started here, say, and I didn't need to cut here out. It was here, you know, then I had to break all these welds using the hatchet. I broke them. They broke out pretty easy, but I didn't need to. All I needed was to make this little cut right in here. So now I had to cut this out, more carpet come off, and take this piece and cut this piece out. And this was all cut out pretty much using the hatchet. Now when I got to this point, you got this plate here, and it's got to be cut to get to the fuel pump. And that's when I started using my drill with one of these little cutoff blades. I went through about 4 of these blades to do this. I was being very careful, and I'll show you why. You got electrical wiring in here, and you got your fuel lines. I actually nicked here just slightly with that cutoff blade, but enough. And if I failed to say it earlier, first thing you want to do is make sure you disconnect your negative, ground on your battery, so that if you do cut through the wires, you don't wind up with an electrical problem. I mean, you're going to have one anyways if you cut the wires, but at least you won't have juice flowing to them. But this is the whole point I'm getting at. You can watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and they show you how to take this out and put the new one in, and they're good. There's a guy on there, he does it with a pickup truck, and he was the guy that got me to say, I'm going to do the same thing. He said that the shop quoted him $1,100 to do it, and they basically gave me the same quote. And I don't remember what part of the country he was in, but he wasn't here in Georgia, so I guess that's a pretty standard fee. And I'm saving, the way I look at it, about $800 doing it myself. And I'm not no young guy, and I'm no mechanic. I'm just that, guy that likes to mess around with this stuff. So, here's where we're getting to with this. With this tape measure hooked up at that lip down the end, to get to the center of that fuel pump, you got to come out. Man, you're looking at 4 feet, 10.5, 4 feet, 11 inches. It's funny because this doesn't seem right. I measured this before, and it was exactly 4 feet. It depends on your tape measure. All right, now I got it set up right, and it is at 4 feet, 10.5 inches. That's the center. Now, if you get the other tape measure, and you come off the wall here, and I'm doing it at this lip, with this plastic thing is where you can put stuff, and I come across, that is at 1 foot and 6.5 inches. 1 foot, 6.5 inches. So if you did this, you would now have a dot. You could put a dot right there center, and that's where the fuel pump is before you do any of this cutting. So now you know pretty much, if you've got the same type of band, an Astro band probably works, and that fuel pump is right there. And then all you need really to do is cut a box from there that's about 1 foot by 1 foot. A 1 foot square box, instead of hacking away and making a mess. Then you cut that out, and then you get to this plate, and that's when like I said, then you use this. When you get down to this point, even when you're cutting, that reciprocal saw's blade's pretty long. Keep in mind these here fuel lines and these electric lines. You gotta be careful. You don't want to cut through them, or you're gonna just wish you hadn't done this, and you're gonna say, I should have dropped the tank. But I did it, and it worked out okay for me. And I hope you guys had a little fun watching this, and until we do another one, thanks a lot, and we'll see y'all later. Annyeonghaseyo.